Welcome to Behind the ABA Talk podcast, where we have heart-to-heart conversations with ABA experts, thought leaders, and changemakers. Each episode unpacks the stories, insights, and behind-the-scenes realities that shaped our experts' professional journeys. I'm your host, Lisa Gurdon, founder of Ellis Gurdon Consulting, and I am thrilled to partner with Behavior Live co-founder and WIBA executive director Janet Lund to launch a special podcast series highlighting some of the amazing speakers and innovative talks that will be shared at the upcoming Women Behaving Boldly conference. Hi, Janet. I'm so happy you're here with me today.
Lisa, I'm so grateful. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for providing just a platform and space for your listeners and the WIBA community to hear and learn about these incredible experts that are going to be talking to them at the beginning of January, setting our 2026 off to just such an amazing start. When I tell you that this lineup of speakers, I'm just jumping out of my seat. I couldn't be more excited about it. And today's guest, Dr. Margo Uwayo, is absolutely just at the top of that list. The work that she's doing, I can't wait for us to unpack it and hear more about her.
Absolutely, me too. So I believe we have a discount code that we will share at the end of the podcast. So stay tuned for our discount code. And if you want more information about the conference, we will say this at the end as well. But Janet, where can people go?
So if you go to thewiba.com, and if you're not familiar with WIBA, it's Women in Behavior Analysis. So that's thewiba.com. And there's a link there to see the lineup of these speakers, to learn more about the mission of WIBA, which is to empower, mentor, and celebrate women in behavior analysis, to call out our contributions, and to just create a community where we can support each other. And this conference is just such a great way to do that. So we hope that you'll join us.
Amazing, amazing. I'm really looking forward to it. And today we have Dr. Margo Uwayo. And thank you for being here. I just want to share a little bit about Dr. Margo's experience. Dr. Margo Uwayo is a respected behavior analyst and educator whose work centers on advancing equitable, evidence-based behavior analytic practice in both clinical and educational settings. Dr. Uwayo brings deep experience in early intervention, school-based services, and culturally responsive practice, working directly with children with developmental disabilities, as well as supporting educators and families to implement effective, socially significant interventions. Her scholarship and clinical expertise reflect a commitment to expanding access to behavior analytic practices that support diverse learners and close achievement gaps. Dr. Margo also serves as executive director of the Kalamazoo Academy for Behavioral and Academic Success, which is a nonprofit school she helped launch to provide individualized academic and behavioral support to students with varying learning needs and to model behavior analytic teaching principles and practice. As a lecturer, published researcher, and speaker, Dr. Uwayo brings a unique blend of scientific rigor, educational insight, and a passionate voice for equity and inclusion in behavior analysis. And we are so excited to welcome her to the show today. And at the Women Behaving Boldly conference, Dr. Uwayo will talk about the role of applied behavior analysis in the current education system. And she will describe a unique educational model that applies effective strategies from ABA to core academic subjects at an applied behavior analysis-based school. And welcome.
Thank you, Lisa, so much for the opportunity to chat with you. You're reading my bio, and I'm like, who is that? What are you talking about?
Wow. It's a woman behaving boldly, if I can say it. Someone who is using her power and knowledge to do just amazing things, Margo. When I hear that, I'm just like, girl, you are really doing the work, like really helping shape behavior analysis to just be better and better. It's so impressive. Thank you for your commitment to doing that.
Absolutely. I'm having fun and gallivanting and being as bold as I can be. And using the science to the best, possible ways and applying it in the best possible settings and moving us forward. So I'm excited to be able
Amazing.
to be on this journey and to be here with you guys as well.
Wonderful. And I consult in schools, and so I'm in that space as well. And I'm so thrilled to hear about everything you have to say today, moving forward, and at the conference. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm wondering if you can share with us your professional journey. Like you doing amazing, like Janet said, bold things. What's your journey and what inspires you?
I guess maybe I'll have to say a lot of it has been happy accidents.
Like
That
that?
um things that I wanted so badly that then somehow through the work that I did or sharing it or looking for it started to come my way. So I'd say so I went to Western Michigan University, that's my alma mater. And I had the privilege of learning from the likes of so many really amazing behavior analysts. Dick Malott, Denise Ross,
Oh,
Stephanie Peterson, Jessica Van Straten, Al Poling, who else? So many. There are lots and lots of other individuals. I missed a couple, but I learned so much having access to all that knowledge.
hmm
And I started in behavior. I really got turned on to behavior analysis during my junior year in college. Before that, I'd been going to like a community college, and I knew I wanted to study psychology because of my personal experience. When I was younger, I'm from East Africa, Rwanda, and we had a genocide happen in 1994. I was about 6 years old at the time, and it impacted me personally, my family. I lost my mom, some siblings.
Oh,
Um,
sorry.
and
Sorry.
that's okay. And my dad, my brother, and I survived, and we had extended family, of course, but it really shifted so much for us.
sure.
And from that, we were at some point then able to come to the United States. My dad came first, and then my brother and I joined him. And so we found safety, physical
Mm,
safety in that way, right? And I knew just from having had these early challenges and these experiences, I was like, I really want to do something with children. I want to protect
hmm
children.
mhm.
And I think I wanted to become the person that if I'd dreamt up of a person who could take care of me after losing my mom, that's the person that I really wanted to be. Right. And so I was
Amazing.
like, okay, I want to work with children. I want to
You
work with
guys, I just
children.
pulled out a tissue. That's why everybody's laughing
We
because
have,
I'm giving Margo a look like Margo. Gosh, just
uh,
thank you for your vulnerability. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the journey. I don't know
hmm
if I would be the same person and practice the way that I do had that not
mhm,
happened, although I wish it hadn't. But, so that I think early on, I just felt inspired to stay in the space of working with children, keeping children. I didn't know how I would do it. I just knew that I'd want to work with children. And so when I, came to the United States and went through schooling, I went to undergrad. I was at a local community college and I transferred to Western. And I was like, I'm ready to do this psychology thing. And I was pretty sure I was going to do clinical psychology. And I was learning a lot. I wasn't super familiar with the education system here because I hadn't had anybody go through it and show me, here's how you go through college,
right.
here's how you prepare for
hmm
college. You should have had practicum, or these experiences. If you really want to succeed quickly, you should probably have worked with children already or in practicum or something. So I was learning a lot. And I remember I took this course. It was Psych 3600. It was Introduction to Behavior Analysis.
Look how you
Um,
remember that. Look at the little things in our lives.
yeah.
We know what we were doing. We know what
Oh
we
my
were
goodness.
wearing,
I
what music
remember
was playing.
Woodhall, Western Michigan University. I
Yeah,
remember what
see?
seat I was in.
See?
And
I love
the
it.
course was, Intro to Behavior Analysis, and it was Dr. Richard Malott's graduate students who were teaching the course.
Wow.
Chase, I forget his last name. Chase was teaching the course. I remember that because I sat in that class and I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I would do clinical psychology, maybe focus on trauma
Yeah.
and working with children in that way and families in that way. And I think I just was interested in understanding why people behave the way they do. Some of it I think may have had to do with me wanting to understand, my history
Mm-hmm.
on a personal level and, maybe do
Mm.
some healing. But when I sat in that class and we're talking about principles and I'm learning and it's, oh my gosh, it was like the stars and the moon and everything was shining. It just hit, yes. And so it was a really powerful experience because it was like, okay, this is it. These other, I'd taken some courses and I was like, these other areas are also interesting, but I think this is tangible. I want to be able to see results in the things that I
Yes.
do and not lose myself in trying to I want to simplify and understand and have an impact. And so that's kind of how I started in my undergrad. I did my honors thesis with the BAT system, Dr. Malat's at that time
Mm-hmm.
system. The BR says the undergraduate version of it. And then I started to work. I was working full time. I went to work at like a local psych hospital. And there I was still in school, finishing up school and working full time. And I saw people really struggling to understand the different things that were going on in that setting. Even if it was a psychological, psych hospital, you have so many disciplines working together. And I kept feeling like, oh my gosh, this is where behavior analysis could help. Oh, I know
Mm.
exactly what's going on there. I started to understand and then,
That's
but
so
at the time I
cool.
was like, okay, I'm just finishing my undergrad. I can't do very much with it. I need to go forward. I need to go get my master's and maybe my PhD and figure out how to come back and apply what I've learned in a professional, manner. And so I reached out to Stephanie Peterson. She was I think, over the department at the time. And I didn't know how to apply to grad school. I did not know what to do. I just happened to research and I saw this thing about BCABAs at the time in Michigan, and they were looking for
Yeah.
that. And so she said, yes, come, let's meet for coffee. We went to Big for coffee. And we
Mm.
had coffee, and she said, are you sure you want to be a BCBA? Don't you want to be a BC or BCABA? You could be a BCBA. Did you know that? And I was like, what's that? I didn't know. And so we had a really great conversation, and she asked me to go back to reach out she connected me with her lab, with her graduate students at the time. I met them, and I think they were working with adults at the time. And so I said, I really want to work with children. And she said, oh, you went through the honors program with Malat. You should reach out to him and let's see what we can do. This was like already in June, July. School was already starting. It was much too late to like apply. I'd have to wait a whole year. I reached out to Malat and his students, and I said, this is who I am. I'm interested in, graduate school. And he said, let's meet you. So then I have a meeting with him, and
Awesome.
whoever was my mentor in undergrad, Kendra Combs. See, I remember they had such a big impact.
Yeah.
Um, and so we met, and I expressed what I was looking for, and he said, okay, well, you can audit my classes. Here's a system you're going to work with. You're going to need to pass your tests, though. You still have to study and pass your test. And here's all the things, here's the tools, here's this, and you're in. And it was an unconventional beginning to the journey, but I needed that level of support. So the
Mm-hmm.
graduate students were welcoming, and I started taking the course. I had missed boot camp, the summer courses he had for students then. And so he's like, that's okay. You can take it next summer. Start taking, come to classes. I
Awesome.
think I took 2 classes that fall. I'd had surgery. My vocal cords were not working. It was a crazy time. I didn't have, I had surgery on my vocal cords, and one of them there was a complication. So I only have one actual working vocal cord. And so I was whispering and just doing my best to push forward at
Oh
that
my
time. And I
goodness.
just was given the chance to, and the opportunity to like go in and learn and begin my journey. So that's kind of how I started my behavior analysis journey. I went through the program with a lot my first year of master's. And then I think the second year, Denise Ross, he came over to Western Michigan University to teach. And so Dr. Mala was like, because of the honors thesis that I did, it was around academic performance, self-management and
Mm.
academic performance. And Denise, of course, is, the queen of verbal behavior, literacy, academics, education, all
Mm.
of those. So Malat was like, do you want to go study with, Denise? Maybe you should complete your doctorate with her or finish out your master's and do your doctorate with her. And I was like, are you kicking me out of BAS? What's going on? And then I didn't say that, okay? I kept my cool.
A
But I was
little
thinking,
view of your thought bubble was,
yes, I was like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, what happened? What did I do? Did I mess up? And, I was like, can I do both? I want to keep doing both. I want to be able to work with children, who have autism and in this clinical setting, but I also want to then expand that in the verbal world in that way and work with academics and literacy so and he said, no, you can't do both. You have to be able to transition and be really, really good at what you do. And to do that, you've got to be able to focus. So I completed my
Mhm.
first year with him and I did all the things and then I transitioned over in my second year master's to working with Denise, and that's when we're doing a lot of school stuff. So we're pushing into schools, building community partnerships,
Awesome.
building practica in local title, in local low income, schools that are in low income backgrounds. So lots and lots of needs there. Building a reading clinic, and I then kind of just got all of these amazing experiences, both still within the realm of behavior analysis and autism, but also sometimes outside of that. And so we were specializing working with kids who were, behind academically, maybe also had autism diagnoses, had lots of problem behavior. So really had to, I think we worked one year, we may have worked at a juvenile home. So we had to establish that. Yes. And so it was an amazing journey. And I moved with whatever came to me, but I think I was ready. I was looking. And when the opportunities presented themselves, I was ready to run and jump in. And so I've had a really interesting experience, I'd say.
yeah, I'd
I would
say
say
so.
so. In speaker with all of the vocal
Wow.
cords we have.
Wow,
Yes,
wow,
my
wow.
vocal cord has gotten me places, I'm telling
Yes. It is a killer
Wow.
vocal cord, that's for sure. You say, Margo, you talk about these names
you.
that you
Hmm.
just throw out, like, oh, well, it was Stephanie and it was Dick and it was Denise. And, I'm like, these are giants. These
Yeah,
are
yeah,
incredible mentors for you. But of all that, and so there is just this sense of, wow, like you got the greatest hits of like people pouring into you. But I'm struck by a couple of things that you said. One was how sweet Stephanie was like, hey, let's meet for coffee.
yeah.
And
Hmm.
then,
Yes.
so taking time and taking space, making space in one's life to like mentor and bring in, whether she knows I mean,
I
I'm
don't know
sure she
if
knows the impact.
I don't know if she remembers that we had coffee. And
Well,
I've met with her, since then, but I don't know if she remembers how that one
it's
quick
so
Small
brief,
thing.
interesting.
yeah, really shifted the trajectory of it gave me some knowledge and encouraged me to look and to continue to pursue this thing that felt a little bit
Yeah.
outside of what I could do at the time.
I
Sorry.
just think it's such no. I think it's such a powerful example of just making space
Mhm.
and being people who mentor, and especially given the vulnerability with which you shared your background. Thank you again for that. And the thought of you saying, like, I really did get quite choked up when you said, I wanted to think about the kind of person I could be that I would have wanted like a mother to be. And how do I create a space and how do I become someone who does that and makes a soft space for other people to land or launch off of?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just think, woman, you have killed that. Like you
Mhm.
have, the things you're doing. And I can't wait to hear about the school, but I just think what a beautiful kind of process for you, um, missing that being taken away from you. You say, I want to be that. And then now who you are,
Yeah.
and what a bold kind of trajectory that was.
Yeah, thank you for helping me to see it that way. When I saw Lisa, when I saw some of the, prompts that you had, I was like, okay, let me think about this on a big scale. Really, where am I and how have I,
Mhm.
not on my own. I think it's always been mentors and people who
Yes.
saw the
Hmm.
willingness, maybe even saw the ability and the capacity. And I think Denise was one of those individuals as well.
Hmm.
And Malat was on all of my dissertation, all just lots and lots of support. I think those individuals really helped to like prop me up so that I could do this thing that I couldn't name at the time, but I can
Hmm.
now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
What is so great, and I'm so happy you're sharing that you had this vision of
yeah.
yourself,
Hmm.
but you didn't really know how to, how to live that vision. And then
Hmm.
all of these people, like you just said, came into your life to show you
Yes.
how to make that happen. And I think that vision is so important for all of us to come to at some point, right? It is to
Yeah.
create that vision of ourselves as a mom or as a as a parent or as a professional. I talked to my supervisees a lot about that. I was like, okay, now you're in the process. Create this vision of yourself as a behavior analyst.
Hmm.
What do you want to do? What don't you want to do? Like both
Yes.
seeing both things and putting that together for yourself. Sometimes it takes time and sometimes it takes a lot of hands, a
Yes.
lot of
Yeah.
people to get you there. And hopefully you have those people who take that time and space, like you said, Janet. I mean, not everybody does that. That's more of
Right.
us should do it, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
it makes a difference as
For
we
It
see.
does.
sure.
It does. I think someone said, it could have been Denise, maybe someone else may have said to me, you have to know your why. When you know your
Yes.
why, the other things it will surpass what it is you want to do or be. It has to surpass the clinic you're working at right now, the job that you have at
Yes.
this right now. So to have that, I think, I realize now, like, I just was really clear early on. Not everyone, I think, because of my experiences at
Hmm.
early,
Yes. Yes.
I got this is what I want to do. And I was really stubborn about it. And I just was like, I'm going to do
I love that.
it. Either you're with it or you're not.
Oh,
But
I
please be
love
with
it.
it and help me get
Yeah.
there. So I agree
Yeah.
with you. I think that's a really important component of like, creating a path for yourself. And then
Yeah.
people who will support and honor that path will come along and walk with you.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that why thing for a minute? Because I think that's so cool. Like knowing your why, whatever it is, and like finding your why. I think in my mind, I'd love for you to just riff on it for a minute. But in my mind, I think knowing your why helps you know what to say yes to,
Yes.
but it also helps you know what to say no thank you to, right?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I graduated with my doctorate in 2019. And what a time, right? I didn't know it then.
wow, lady.
So 2019, I finished, and Denise was like, you should really go and teach. You need to go be a professor somewhere. And I was like, I don't think I'm ready. I still needed, I think, to do something, right? And I said to her, I think that I'd like to go out there and have experiences, applied experiences, so that if and when I am teaching as a full-time, position, I have things that I can talk about from my own
Hmm.
experience.
Yes.
'Cause I was
Yes.
just like, I've done it here, and I had done a lot by that time. I think I was like the director of our reading clinic and research with Indonesia's lab, and I'd had cool experiences, but they were all still very much insulated in our Ivy League, our world of Western and that community. And so I'm like, let me go out there and live life and see what I want to experience. So I moved to Texas for a while. I know. I worked there for a while, and then afterwards, I was not very happy. I was like, I don't think this is exactly where I still see something beyond this for myself. And so I learned a lot initially, and then I was like, I think I gotta move on. Then I went to Seattle. Yes, I kind of bopped all over, and I went to Seattle, and I was like, I really, my work has to be around there has to be education involved, and I don't mean education in the sense that where I'm doing FBS. That's not the work that is for me. Everybody, a lot of people, we have a lot of experts in that area. I want to contribute to literacy, those advanced repertoires, language communication, I want to work on that.
Amazing.
And I know the science from what I've learned. I know we have a lot of tools. I know all of this research that
Yep.
we've done, that I've done, that Denise, like KABAS and Greer's work, in the work that they've done. I really want to do that. I just don't know how I'm gonna do it and get it funded and not have, I don't know how I'm going to accomplish that, but it's going to happen. So let me just hop around until I make it happen. So I did that. I moved to Seattle. I worked there through like during COVID, that early period. Oh my gosh, that was a really, really interesting time.
Ooh, that was the
And
epicenter right there for a while.
oh, I
Oh,
I got there and like maybe 2 months later, they were like, "Oh, we're shutting it."
oh, oh.
Guys,
Uh,
we lived through a pandemic.
yeah,
Like,
Isn't that
when you
crazy?
stop and think about it, it's like
yeah,
that was not nothing.
that was
I mean, it
Wow.
was a scary time and intense, and
yeah,
Sure
yeah,
just
was.
talk about an event, a setting event that just sort of went and
yeah.
changed
It
everything
did.
else.
Just changed so much. So, I got a chance to write though. That was a cool part during that time, I guess. I got to write and collaborate with some people from my lab, and we put some research papers out, which was really great. Then afterwards, I was like, well, while I was there, I was like, I really need to get back closer to family. My dad and my brother, I'd like, it made me miss home
Hmm.
and want to be much closer. And so I moved to Illinois. And so, I did this whole thing. And then, of course, I ended up back in Kalamazoo, Michigan to start the school. So, but
Yes.
the why, I think that's what you were saying, Janet, the why, the knowing, like, okay, I felt as though I was getting approximations. I was getting closer and closer to something.
Yes.
In all of those experiences, I was getting closer to something. And then I finally
Yes.
landed with, the KABAS, our school and nonprofit here in Kalamazoo. And everything that I learned on that weird, journey, that all I tell Dr. Mala all the time, like, everything that we're doing now, I wouldn't have known a lot of it had I not gone and did that
Hmm.
journey, even though it was challenging. I spent, just a lot of time. What felt like wasted time came back to me in the knowledge that I acquired during that period of time.
Sure.
So the why is definitely important. And if you don't know it, to kind of don't, figure it out, spend some time,
Hmm.
know what it is, and then it will help clear the path and for you to know yes or no if you
Yes.
center it around that why.
Yeah.
I absolutely. Start a lot of my talks. I do a lot of professional development, and I start most of my talks with this amazing video that I will send to you. And those of you who are listening, you can email me, and I will send you the link. Um, and it's Michael B. Jordan, who's a comedian, and it's a short, like 4-minute video, and he's talking to this guy in the audience, and he's like, "What do you do?" "I play music," and he sings, and then he's like creates a story for him. He created his why, and he said for him to sing it again, and it was this whole other rich, emotional, passionate version of what he just did before. And
Mm,
he sang beautifully. I mean, he's a beautiful singer, no matter what. But it just proves a point in a very poignant way. And it's funny, there's some funny things about it.
Hmm.
Um, about the importance of intentionality and
Hmm.
really being clear about your why. It makes your impact so much deeper,
yes.
so much more expansive and fulfilling, I think, for
Hmm.
you. And then you're sharing that with everybody else. And that's a different share than,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Than if
Yeah.
that why is not clear to you. It's a different share. It's a share, but it's not the same.
Yeah. It's a curated share, I think, that
Yes.
for someone who's listening for that, who's looking, they'll grab
Yes.
that. They'll grab
Yes.
it right and they'll be clear because I think that
Yes.
also, I'd say maybe I learned some of that from Denise in our time
Yes.
throughout my doctoral journey. I just learned a whole lot. And it clarifies so much for me. And so I'm like, okay, this is the why is important and it's impactful and it helps others to move forward as well.
So much so.
Yes.
So if you think back to all of that whole journey, and I want to get to your school and what you're going to be talking about at the conference, but I'm
Hmm.
curious to know, given that whole journey,
Hmm.
what would you say to your younger self? Knowing what
Oh,
you know
oh
now,
man.
sitting where you are right
Oh,
now,
little Margos.
what
What
would
do
you
you want to
say
say
to
to little
Margot
Margot?
at any point in your
Oh.
life? You could be little, you
Yeah.
could be 19, you could be in the dark, but your younger self at whatever point,
Yes.
what would you say?
You know what? I would
Yes.
clap for younger me. I think I would
Yes.
give her the validation, maybe that she was sticking by performing and doing. So I would probably encourage her and just say, you're already doing all of the things that you need to do.
Mhm.
And maybe the other thing, the more important thing, both are important, equally important, I think, but I also maybe tell her rest a little bit. Take
Yes.
Mhm.
some time to rest. Nasia told me this at some point. We were doing a conference in Kentucky. It was a couple years ago. She said, you have to know how to care for yourself and how to rest so that you can have longevity in the field.
Yes.
And so you
Mhm.
have to
Absolutely.
know that sometimes you need to say no to some things even though
Oh,
they're great opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
and they could propel you, but it's okay to say no if it's gonna come back around one way or another. Take care of yourself. So I think maybe that would be the biggest thing. I'd encourage her, keep going after your dream and after what you want, and don't listen to any naysayers. Go
Yes.
forward and find the community and the village that supports you, but
Yes.
also learn how to rest and make that a priority within all of the things you do because that's how you can have a healthier, I think, experience in the field.
okay, I feel like you told little Janet and now older
Mm-hmm.
Janet very important
Oh yeah.
things in your
I'm
message to
listening.
little Margo.
I am
I,
listening.
it's just such
Wow.
truth, Margo. And what I think is
Yes.
so sweet is, it's the kind of question that, it's like, be nice to yourself, be kind
Yes,
Yeah.
to yourself. And I feel
Yeah.
like our older selves often want to go back and tell our younger
Yes.
selves.
yes,
And so I think the lesson for us today is our self of 20 years forward would probably say the same thing to us right
Definitely.
now. Like
I agree.
all of us could hear, hey, be a little nice and kinder to you.
Hmm.
And just so I love that, Margot. What a
Yeah.
sweet,
Thank
sweet thing
you.
to hear. Thank you. Because I heard what you said, even though it was
Yes.
meant for yourself, it
For
was
all of
meaningful
us.
to
For all of us.
myself
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
It's this
It's
all of
definitely
us.
something I tell myself even still now, like, okay, where can you be a little gentler? Where can you, work intentionally? Don't just work. Be intentional
Yep.
here
Yes,
and pause, because that's an important component too.
for
So it's
sure.
all of us. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's in that pause that beautiful things happen, that you
Yes.
think
Hmm.
more clearly, you find some self-knowledge, or you just kind of enjoy, which brings
Yes.
you energy, re-energizes you a bit, and and builds that resilience that we need to continue to do the work, right? That we believe so much in. And so, can you tell us about the work that you're doing at your school?
Yes, happy to. I could talk about that all the time, all day. You might, you might have to pause me or give me a little visual and tell me, okay. Yes,
Well, we're going to
um,
hear more at the conference, as I think you'll be
yes,
telling us more of those details as
Yes.
well. So,
absolutely.
so
I
maybe
love.
share, yeah, yeah,
Gotcha. Okay. So the school is Kalamazoo Academy for Behavioral and Academic Success, KABAS. We are a kindergarten through eighth grade, non-public school. We have been, I think we're going into our third year now. We have, thank you. We have 11 kiddos we're working with. So we're a school, we're nonprofit, we're also a clinic. We have credentials and we can do ABA services within the school.
awesome.
I want to really be clear when I say school, I really mean it is a school. We have kiddos who are working on core academic subjects. We're doing math, reading, science, social studies, but all the things. And we're applying behavior analysis in the way that we teach, the way that we deliver curricula. We're applying behavior analysis in the way we train staff. That's a critical component of how the students perform. We use, we're looking at all differentiating instruction and making sure every child has an individualized education while keeping in mind that most of these guys will eventually go back to public school or maybe gen ed settings. And so we've got to prepare them for that. We spend a significant amount of time working with families because just like the clinical model, you have to have that work with the family, no matter what, especially within this setting. And so we're constantly addressing all of the needs that come up where I have a clinical supervisor who works with the families to provide that, what you would call caregiver training or
Mm-hmm.
collaborative sessions with parents. And for some of our guys who are getting strict, just ABA, we're really doing that early intervention piece. That's fairly consistent with, requirements for insurance providers. And then for our other kiddos who maybe have school truancy, and that's the biggest thing, and they are
Mm.
really mostly neurotypical, or they may have 504 plans, or they may have, some other things that they're working through, then they get to still, we get to support the family, but maybe on a less restrictive way, is if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. So I really try to embed, in working with developing the proposal and submitting that we're accredited by the Michigan Department of Education. In getting
Awesome.
all of that together, I wanted to make sure that we thought about what are all the things that I learned when I was in EIB, when I was working at a school, when I taught within schools, when I trained teachers, when I worked in preschools here in Kalamazoo. And if we bring it all together, what are the core things we need to have in place? And we really needed to have ABA that is embedded within the school, and we need to support caregivers, and we have to be ready for transitioning kids out and continue to provide some level of support once we do. And so I've tried to embody all of that in this beautiful, small, and awesome school that we have here in Kalamazoo.
Fantastic. That just sounds amazing. I'm very curious. How do you get your funding?
Oh, that is, oh my goodness, Lisa, that might have to be a
A
2 hour
different, every different
conversation.
talk. Okay, okay, all
So,
right. But is
well,
it from different sources? Because
Well, yes. So
okay.
we we rely on absolutely donations, grants. So part of my role
Uh-huh.
is to build that component out. We do have
Gotcha.
private pay, so tuition, parents pay tuition, but we really meet every family where they are, and we work with them based on their financial ability. That way we can keep the services in the school accessible to,
Yes.
and a lot of the kiddos and families we're seeing are those people who are falling in between, where maybe you don't need these, you can't qualify for this, but also we can't give you this, so here's a place where you can get those things. It does put us in a situation where we really have to be careful in terms of funding, and really build that out so that we can be sustainable. So that's a big area. um, we also rely, of course, part of the clinical component, there's an insurance reimbursement that can help cover some of the costs for it being a nonprofit. I mean, our tuition, revenue is very, very small. I think it's maybe like 7% of our entire budget.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's a lot of work. We're right now in a place where we're like,
Yes.
okay, we have to be creative. How can we partner with schools to where they could place learners at our school, and we get that reimbursement for a period of time, and then they transition back to their home school, so I'm building lots of different partnerships to help, get that going, sustain us for the future. But I also think it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge every year to really figure out how do we get this funding, but in a consistent, regular manner that will help propel us and help us grow.
Yeah.
So if you know any funders, send them to me.
Reach out to Margo, please.
Call me or text
But,
me.
you know what, Margo, hearing that, like, uh, the work of just running a school and serving kids is hard enough, right? Like
Mhm.
the work of securing fundings. Like I hear you talking about so many hats that you're
Yeah.
having to wear. And so when you talk about the things you tell your person, like all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, she needs her little Margo to hear that, because Margo now
Wow.
is
Yeah.
working hard, wearing lots of hats, doing lots of things. And
Yeah.
so, to your point, knowing your why and finding space to rest and all of those things, um, has got to be critically important, because I just can't even imagine how busy and the pressure you're under, not just like, okay, I care about this academic clinical program, but I got to keep the doors open. And
Yes.
I
Yes.
Yes.
also want to provide best in class academic services. Like it's all the things, and the weight of that for you as a leader, that's a heavy burden to bear.
Yeah, and thank you for acknowledging that. It's something I'm taking time to be like, okay, I do need to, and I I was lucky enough to do lots of OBM when I was in grad school. And so I've learned to put systems in place and
Yep.
processes and delegate and do all those things. But ultimately, the quality of the program matters, but the funding is also equally important. If the quality sucks, but I have lots of funding,
Yeah.
then, so I
Yeah.
have to figure out how to
It's a
do both.
balance.
It's a
Yeah.
balance. And so it's certainly a challenge. I do force myself to rest.
Oh,
I
good.
really
Because I was just here listening to you, like, does this amazing woman sleep? Because
Oh my goodness. I'm called the nap queen.
I love it.
My
Oh,
friends
I
gave
love
me
it.
a little pin that says nap queen. But it's because and I share this, like I have to be able to, whether it's physical sleep rest, whether it's whatever that needs to look like,
Yeah,
I try to be really intentional about it because when I have that going on, I think better, I'm clear, I
for
Hmm.
better,
sure.
and I get more creative when
Yes.
I've gotten that down. So it's such a critical part of my self-care routine, essentially, but also it's challenging sometimes when you're thinking about all these things and it's
Yes.
nonstop. So,
It's hard to turn
but
it
it's
off,
an
isn't
honor.
it?
Yeah,
It's like
it's very hard.
really hard to turn it off. I
It's
call them brain
melatonin.
breaks. Oh my gosh,
You gotta
something.
get, yes,
Something. I call them brain breaks. And
yes,
I try to model, I will tell my kids I'm taking a brain break right now. And that could
I
be a
love it.
workout, that could be closing my eyes for 10 minutes, that could be doing the dishes because I'm looking at, just
It's
a
something else. Yes,
something else,
yes,
something else.
Question: do Hallmark Christmas movies count as brain breaks?
absolutely,
Because
Oh,
that's what
absolutely.
I love to do.
yes.
I know they're ridiculous, people. No judgment, but
No,
Oh,
is
whatever
that a
absolutely.
brain
that
break?
is.
Law and Order. That's my go-to. Criminal
Okay.
Intent, to be specific.
Yes.
Criminal Intent. Um, but I think the breaks are important, and this work though it is
Mhm.
so important that
Yep.
there are
Yeah.
some periods of time where I'm not getting that quality, but then I try to remember all these things that we've been talking about and say, okay, for the sake of longevity, to be
Yeah.
impactful and to continue to do this longer, these things have to be in place, and I then try to find a way to do it consistently.
It's awesome. So
Okay,
awesome.
listeners, you so want to be at this
Oh,
presentation, right? Like, okay.
yes. Give us a little teaser. Margo, what are we going to hear more about at the conference?
I am going to talk about the school and some of these things we talked about today and expand on it, but I really want to highlight, especially now in sort of this volatile world where we don't know where our field is going in terms of funding and laws and
Oh,
the way things
So
are being
true.
impacted. We really have to look at how we need to move in other areas that we,
mhm.
impact on a bigger scale. And one of those, I talk about this often, literacy and reading textual behavior and
Yes.
how we get our guys in early intervention when they become, at some point they're gonna be looking for work and they need to be able to have these verbal skills. And sometimes I think within our early intervention practices, we haven't been given the tools or we don't know that we can do these other
Mm,
things still within the context of EIBI. So I
mhm.
want to talk more specifically and maybe share some strategies on
Great.
literacy and working with kids with autism who need to work on those skills early on, even before they go to school, so that they're already exposed to that.
Oh, I
And
love this.
yeah. And getting them ready for that group instruction, all, which all of these are things that we do at KABAS. So I share about the school, but then I'll give really clear examples of here's how you can get this going within your setting.
Ah, thank
It's
you.
going to be so impactful.
I mean,
Yes.
thank you for doing this amazing work and thank you for being here and talking with Janet and me and just having such a I feel so inspired and gonna go write down rest in my in my calendar. I'm gonna put in those brain breaks, but also just continuing to do the things that are hard and figuring out solutions and just continuing with your why, and just thank you for sharing all of that. Really appreciate all of
Absolutely.
you.
It's a pleasure. KABAS is a labor of love. So You know,
Yes.
it's a
You
pleasure to
can,
hear about it and to maybe share some of the knowledge, and hopefully we see
Yes.
some more of those pop up here and there. Who knows?
yes. Well,
Yes.
thank you for sharing that love that is so evidently in you, Margo. Thank you for
Yes.
sharing that in your clinical practice and just your leadership and the things you do. And I'm so excited to highlight you at Women Behaving Boldly. And again, remember, because you listen to this podcast, everybody, there is a special discount for you. I feel like, after hearing how smart all our speakers are, I should be charging more, but I am actually, Lisa and I want to give you a discount. So if you register for Women Behaving Boldly January 15th and 16th, Lisa's going to tell you a code to put in on your registration. And what is that super secret code, Lisa?
Yes, that super secret special code is podcast 88. Podcast 88.
And what does that mean? What is the cost?
Well, because if you register without the discount, you are going to pay $99, which is also amazing for 20,
Amazing.
a bit 22 CEUs. Um, but if you use the podcast, you save $10 and $11, and you get even
$88, Lisa.
a lower rate of CEUs, which is unheard of. So thank you, Janet, and your team at Behavior Live
Of
for
course.
doing
We're happy to
all
do it.
that you all that you do, and thank you for joining me on this special series of Behind the ABA Talk podcast. Be sure to check out the Women Behaving Boldly conference. I will be there, and I'm so excited. It will be such a great way to start the new year, listening to these cutting edge topics from inspiring women in the field of behavior analysis. I just am so excited. And thank you, Margo and Janet, for joining me today. This is a very special conversation. So thank you very much. And I just want to say a special thank you to my podcast producer, Cole Asher Selznick. And yes, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.